Hello everyone and welcome to another Versus video. I'm Brad Nelson, that's Brian Brown, doing it awesome and sexy all the time. And today we're going to be doing something in honor, today we're going to be doing something in honor of Mono Black taking up over 50% of every top 8 and Mono Red winning the last Invitational and 2 Opens. We're going to play 2 fun decks and ignore the metagame.
I love it.
We're just going to play 2 decks that are just awesome and fun in the format. Before M415 comes out, man, I'm getting old. It's kind of like when I accidentally think I'm a year younger than I actually am, you know?
Yeah,
M14's about to come out, I mean 15.
It's like when Brad thinks he's like 43 instead of 44.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I age very well. It's that, you know, Native American in me.
It is.
Because I am 1/16 Native American. Fun fact, more you know. Anyway, we're going to do a deck tech on white, blue, Afara. That's how we say it. And we're not going to do the deck tech on BBD's Reanimator deck because we all know it because he talks about it a lot.
Dex is gas.
It is just pure gas. Anyway, let's take a look at this deck because this deck also does some very gaseous things.
That just sounds sturdy.
To start things off, this is just a white weenie sense deck, but it's playing for a bigger end game. So we have Soldier of the Pantheon, Precinct Captain, Keening Apparition, Boros Reckoner, Bremass to do the early beatdowns. With one Sky Knight, which is probably should have more, this card always overperforms for me.
Yeah, that card is just always so sweet.
Yeah, it just doesn't see a lot of play, but it overperforms every time it hits play. And then you have Detention Spheres and a couple Braves. But the rest of the deck is an engine that's built on helping the deck just get to the mid-game and long game, because all the other decks that are trying to be mid-rangey are going to just overwhelm the early aggressive draws.
Yep.
But if you can get an Afar into play, maybe some Detention Spheres to keep it active all the time, or even a Spear or a Dictate, you're able to continuously draw cards. Scry is going to allow you to scry and play a guy, so then you're going to draw less lands, and you even have Elspeth at the top. So Dictate and Elspeth are really powerful cards at the end game for this deck, even though you're trying to do this early aggression. So it's a hard deck to sideboard for, because there's so many different draws you can get. You can get the early beatdown draws, you can get these mid-rangey late game draws, so you have to keep your removal spells, but as you look at this top end, the removal spells get pretty bad in the late game. So a lot of decks are going to have to board in a ton of removal, but they're not going to get that much out of it because they have such diminishing returns from when both decks go really late.
Yeah, one thing I really like a lot is, like you were saying, Polukranos, for example, just brick walls all these guys.
Yes. But
Dictate of Heliod is a new card that I've played a lot of decks like this. Actually, just an embarrassing amount of decks like this. And Dictate of Heliod was one of the most exciting cards that come out recently, because a lot of times you go Soldier, Precinct, Captain, Bremass, and your opponent's at 8 life, but then they play Master of Waves, or then they play Polukranos and Stormbreath Dragon, and then you just lose the ability to ever attack again. Yeah. And Dictate is just so awesome at letting you continue to attack.
Or even Elspeth too, as it comes down and ticks down, and all your guys survive it.
Yep.
And so that's a big thing for Elspeth too, even though it does cost a lot of mana, but it's fine because the games will go long. This deck is designed to be able to take the game to those late turns of 6, 7, 8, 9, and still have a chance of winning, but also having the punishing draws of just killing people with Bremazzes and Detention Sphere their guys and getting some damage through with Boros Reckoner. So I'm a big fan of this deck. Also, a good friend of mine, I think it's Niv Shmuley. I know I butchered his last name, but he's a good friend of mine. His name on Moto is Trunks 321 123 132. All of them are just variations of him. Okay. And I've just been seeing him do really well with this deck. So while I was scouring all the Moto results to try to find a fun deck to play today, this came up, and I'm like, yeah, I haven't played this in a long time. I mean, I played Tom Ross's Nyx Fleece Ram version, but that was just awful. I don't really care. And here's a fun fact for y'all. At the Invitational that Tom ended up crushing me in top 8, he sat down before round 1 started, and he said, should I play my mono red deck that he eventually ended up winning the tournament with, or should I play my sheep deck, which is this deck, this variation of the deck, but a little bit different with 4 sheep main and Heliod and stuff like that. And we both laughed at him, even though we both liked that deck, and it's just just play a red deck. Yeah. Man, if I could just go back in time.
Yeah, just play the sheep deck.
Yeah, the sheep deck's awesome. It'll be so good in this Sphinx's Revelation mono black control format. But anyway, we'll go take a look at the sideboard, and then...
Before we do, I want to just point out Dictate plus Mutavault's really insane as well.
Oh, yeah, just giving it the bonuses?
Yeah, against any Verdict deck, you just hold open, you just pass with 5 mana up, they Verdict you, you flash in a Dictate.
And attack them with Mutavaults.
And then attack them with 2 Mutavaults and just kill them or whatever.
That's really good. Even with Afara too, it survives and just gets that big old whammy, because this is almost online, you know? It's very close. You just play a Boros Reckoner, second main, or first main after the Wrath. That turns us on. Attack with
Activated
a Mutavault.
Just
That's
kill
12
him.
damage, yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's take a look at the sideboard real quick and have me like try to butcher my way through why there's a Dispel in it. And then we'll get to battling. All right, so in the sideboard, we have one of my favorite cards that these white weenie type decks play, which is Supreme Verdict. And I just love that these decks, like, you know, it's like back when I started playing Magic in Goblin era, when Goblin players started like teching out and playing Pyroclasm sometimes. So sometimes like you would have like these mirror matches of Goblins, and both players would be too afraid to invest into the board because like both players have Pyroclasms. But in this deck, like all the aggressive decks have to stay aggressive. They just have to dump on the board. And they don't want to keep their anti-Wrath tech in against a deck like this because this deck can just punish them with Breemazes and Boros Reckoners. So I love that you just get this Supreme Verdict to just like blow up their world every once in a while. And nothing? You got nothing for this one?
I mean, I think it's interesting, but I've never been a huge fan of Verdict in creature decks.
Okay, well that's because you are not a big fan of creature decks.
I like creature decks.
You like mid-range creature decks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you're playing today. One more Brave the Elements for any matchup that this is going to be big. It beats this card right here. Don't tell me why we still have one of these in the room. But it definitely beats Anger of the Gods, and that's one of the big problems that a deck like this could have, along with just being able to push through against like mono-green devotion decks. Like they're just going to build up a bigger, superior board than you, and you just need to break through in some way.
Also, I have played this mono-white style deck a lot, and mono-blue devotion is one of the worst matchups.
Yep.
And Brave the Elements is one of the best cards because you frequently get them to 7 life, 6 life. Your turn 1 Soldier of the Pantheon hits them 18 times, but they're at 2.
Yeah.
And you just need to Brave the Elements to kill them.
That's true. 2 Glares are very good at mirror match things, or a lot of like the new Naya decks popping up. Any like version of a Naya deck, this is going to be good against because it just hits so many things, like the voices that are annoying, or any other Breemazes, Detention Spheres.
Johnny, Elspeth.
Yeah, even against Control, this card can come in. It's just very powerful at dealing with things.
Those.
Kills Banishing Lights as well. Same with Deicide. Deicide is our Thassa killer, along with it also kills cards like Detention Sphere. Some Celestial Flares are for hexproof / decks with dragons.
Yep.
Because they are going to either block with a dragon or only attack with a dragon. And this card just kills dragon. And as a person that has played a lot of dragons, I hate that any deck just now plays Celestial Flare. Even the aggressive ones are like, oh, I finally can start attacking with a dragon. They're like, Celestial Flare. I'm like, dead. Like, that was just all I had.
Yeah, and like even if they attack with like another creature too, a lot of times what you can do is like gang block their ground creature and then Celestial Flare during the end of combat step.
Because it's still technically attacking even though it has already attacked. It's
damage.
attackception.
Yep.
And that works. Fiendslayer Paladin is good against Tom Rouse and Tom Rouse only. And the mono black aggro decks.
Yeah.
But anything aggressive, this is just going to gain us some life.
Also, the burn deck.
The burn deck,
That's
yes.
somewhat popular.
It is a kind of popular. That's what the Dispel's for. Figured it out.
I was going to tell him, but I thought I would wait and see if he could figure it out. It's also good against Sphinx's Revelation.
No, I know, yeah. The negates and the Dispels are here for the control matchups where you want to hit like the Elspeth, Sphinx's Revelations, Jace's, Supreme Verdicts, all those cards that don't, you know, get countered when you counter them.
Dispel actually, this may sound crazy, but it actually probably is fine against mono black as well, because a lot of times what you do is you go like Soldier, Precinct Captain, and then next turn you attack with Mutavault and your 2 guys, and you just dispel their hero's downfall.
And just like when they pack rat and they start making more pack rats, and you dispel one of the triggers, because that's really good too.
Look, that's where the 4 Detention Spheres come into play.
That is true, and that's one of the big reasons.
You can dispel their Devour Flesh targeting themselves.
Yeah.
To sack the pack rat you're targeting with Detention Sphere. That's just value.
That is a lot of value, but it will not be as much value as BBD is going to try to accumulate over the course of the next 5 games we play.
I mean, I think I only have like 16 cards that cost 5 or more.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is Obstinate 8 doesn't make them cheaper.
It does not, no.
At all.
It makes a couple of them 1 mana cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy us completely ignoring the standard metagame and just playing fun decks before we start playing with M15 next week.
Johnny, Nissa, you know, hot soup.
Hot soup! Hot soup!